Well, trade deadline once again tomorrow, 6 o'clock Eastern, live coverage on the network beginning at 9 a.m. Eastern. We are locked and loaded as all these moves will be coming down the pipe. Let's talk first, gentlemen, about Josh Hader, because listen, for the Padres case, it's another example of A.J. Preller why, if you're a Padres fan, you appreciate his approach. He is all in. He's willing to make moves, push the pedal to the metal. Rogers had struggled a little bit as a closer. Yeah. Let me go out and get a guy like Hader who feels like he's an upgrade there at that position.
Well, I mean, listen, and I think, too, what we've learned over the last few offseasons is that back end of the pen, electric stuff wins in the postseason. Yeah. Interesting trade, though, because I think Rogers was having a nice year, too, and he scuffled just like Hader was scuffling a little bit. But I think it's an electric arm. Yeah. I think both teams kind of won out on this one, but you can see what the Padres are doing and going to get Hader because he's really pretty much been lights out closer for them. And the biggest thing with that whole thing is Devin Williams. I mean, they have their closer. They have probably one of the best guys out of the pen sitting there setting up Hader. So one question, Bo, that I think, though, I think they really need a bat at the end of the day. The Brewers need a bat. So I think getting those guys, they can maybe flip some of these prospects and maybe somehow find a way to go get a bat or something.
Yes, when you look at both of these teams, to me, this is a win-win trade because they both have needs, and I think they both put themselves in position to address those needs. When you look at the Brewers, they're operating and knowing that they are a mid-market team. Yeah. They do not want to pay the $15 million price tag that Hader's going to come with next year. And when you look at Devin Williams and his emergence and the success that he's having, they're able to get a lefty to basically partner with him at the back end of that bullpen. But if you're the Padres, to me, this here deal screams, if I'm not going to get Juan Soto, I want to make sure that my roster stacks up against the Dodgers because that's the team that I think I'm going to have to beat in order to get to the World Series.
You know, remember Soto got Hader back in the 2019 wildcard game, so who knows how that could shape up. I'm curious, too, Bo, as a manager, Craig Counsell is one of the best managers in baseball. We know that. But imagine that clubhouse right now. Wait, we traded Hader? We're in the mix for this thing. We're first place in the division. Come on, man. Like, how do you manage that between, like you said, they know they're a mid-market team. They still feel like they're in this thing.
Yes, I think when you have Devin Williams sitting there and when you look at that roster and you see the fact that he's thrown 28.2 scoreless innings, when you trade a guy, the question that happens in your clubhouse is who's going to replace him. Right. So this makes Craig Counsell conversation with any player that may question it very easy because you say we have a closer already in place. And we're looking at trying to make sure that we can widen our window of success. And if I have to pay $15 million to keep Hader on our team next year, it's going to basically minimize our ability to spread the money around.
Look at the numbers right now. You look at Rogers versus Hader, the innings so far, the opponent average, the opponent OPS. So, as Case was saying, Rogers really good with the Padres early on, scuffled recently. Hader has been a little bit atypical as well.
Yes, and they're selling high. When you start to look at Hader, the Milwaukee Brewers did a tremendous job of getting all of the value that they were going to get out of him. Yeah. They sold high and put themselves in a position where now they will have payroll flexibility moving forward and still have a chance to win the Central with their current roster.
It's interesting how it's all going to unfold. And for the Padres, like you said, they're still in on Soto, but they don't get him. They still made a move. They'll placate the fan base. They've got Hader, who's definitely an upgrade the bullpen. Frankie Montas, the Yankees. One of the keys for success, Case, this Yankees rotation has been how durable they have been, right? Like, Cole's been healthy. Severino, until recently, placed in the IL. But Montgomery's been there making his turns, Nestor, Cortez, etc. Yeah, but now, Tyone, exactly. Yep. But now they say, you know what, let's go get the upgrade. We'll get Montas. Trevino helps that bullpen with Chad Green out. And obviously Michael King.
Can't forget about Cortez, too, who's been dominating.
Right. So look at this. So look at this rotation. Like, okay, Cole, Cortez, Tyone, Montgomery, Herman, who's back, kind of working his way into Montas. But very quickly, with Severino on the IL, Frankie becomes your number 2 guy.
Well, he does. I mean, listen, I think when Castillo got traded, I think they were looking at him from the Reds, but then they said, okay, we got to get Frankie Montas. But you're right. At the end of the day, we all know starting pitching, having those guys 6 deep is going to win it. Frankie Montas all of a sudden comes over. He's your number 2 starter in an already deep rotation. So, I mean, the Yankees did exactly what they needed to do. They went out, they got Benintendi, they got a bat, they got 2 bullpen guys, and they got a frontline starter.
A frontline starter that's actually pitched in the American League West, in which the Yankees are they're on a collision course with the Astros. So I think this deal has a lot to do with the fact that they're getting their number 2 starter who has great experience against the Houston Astros, and that's going to play well down the stretch as they push for a World Series title.
Yeah, it's interesting. The Yankees starting rotation, 3.37 ERA, third in the majors overall, but in the month of July, 4.38, 23rd. So we've seen a little bit of weakness there. Brian Cashman recognized that. That's a good point. The fact he's been in that division. So we all feel like it's a collision course, Astros, Yankees, and the ALCS.
It's no doubt going to be a collision course. That's such a great point, Bo, because, you know, Frankie Montas, he knows these guys. Yeah. He knows that Astro lineup. He's had to navigate them all year long. But at the end of the day, I mean, you look at this Yankees team as a whole. I mean, just how good they are in the pen, how good they are in that lineup. Judge having a historic year. But to add Montas to the rotation, wow. It makes them that much better.
It certainly does. Go ahead.
And when you start to look at the Yankees bullpen, you get Trevino, it gives them the opportunity to have guys that can bring the ball from different angles. And when you start to get into the postseason, this is where analytics play a really big part, because as a manager, you can attack hitters in different ways. All hitters have a quadrant case in which you can go to. And the Yankees have put themselves in a position with their bullpen to be able to attack hitters from so many different angles. That's going to give Aaron Boone the ability to match up. And you know these postseason games, those late inning matchups, it can be in the 6th inning where the game is in the balance and you have a guy down in your bullpen that can get the ball to a certain quadrant to get that guy out.
And what was that like for you? Imagine you're facing these bullpen arms, all different arm angles, arm slots, Efros, the side arm.
Like my back's killing me, guys.
It's a great luxury for a manager.
Look at these arm angles right now, right? Yeah. It's tough for you as a hitter to be picking up all these different arms.
Well, I think one of the great things about that is what Bo was saying was, listen, you have an arm that can match up against one hitter. In a huge situation, you have a bases-loaded situation in the 6th. You know one guy could come in and get that lefty out, something with a cutter or something that bears into a quadrant where he's not good at. So it's so smart what the Yankees are doing.
Back to Bo's point about Montas facing the 2.21 ERA against the Astros. This guy's been really good.
That's why, to me, he was the target and not Castillo. He was the target for them,
right?
Understanding who they believe is their stiffest competition that was standing in their way of getting to the World Series.
This is a guy who could potentially slay the dragon. He's been there before. He knows how to do it.